Okay, so this is a quick overview of the Brother NV10 or NV10 sewing machine. When you take it out of the box, you'll find the machine and a bag with some accessories inside. I won't go into too much detail as to what's inside that bag because it's already listed on our website and manufacturers change what's included in there from time to time. Also, you'll find a soft cover which fits over the top of the machine, a foot control, power cable and your instruction book and warranty information. Okay, so if we have a quick look around the machine, at the top here, this is where you wind the bobbin. This is your pre-tensioner for when you're winding the bobbin, thread tension. This is your speed limiter or your speed control. This is your needle up, needle down button, so if you press that the needle will always stop down or the needle will always stop up. Reverse button and your start or stop button. You've got your thread, needle threader here and you've got a thread cutter on the side. Here you've got an LCD display displaying the length and width of the stitch. You can alter the length of your stitch using this button and the width of your stitch using this button. Here you've got your stitch selector, so you can choose whichever stitch you want. And this button will make the sewing machine sew a few stitches forwards, a few back, and then start the seam, which is handy for securing at the beginning and end of your seams. On the end of the machine, you've got your on and off switch, foot control socket, and where your power plugs in. On the back of the machine, you've got your switch for raising and lowering the feed dogs for when you want to do free machine embroidery or free machine quilting. And obviously this is where you put your thread. So the first thing we're going to do is wind the bobbin. So we'll take that part off the machine. Bring the thread into the first thread guide, in through there, around here and under the pre-tensioner. If you can, thread the thread through the hole in the bobbin. Push the bobbin onto the bobbin winder and engage it. There's a start-stop button on the front of the machine, or you can use the foot control to power the bobbin winder. That's the bobbin wound. Place the bobbin into the bobbin case, into there, pull the thread into the slot and around. There's a blade in there which cuts the end of the thread off, and put the bobbin cover back on the machine. That's the bobbin loaded, ready to sew. Thing is to thread the top thread up, so into the first thread guide, second down and around. The take-up lever is hidden on most modern machines, so make sure you go through the take-up lever. Down the front of the machine and in through the last thread guide, just above the needle. Lower the presser foot and then you're ready to use the needle threader, which is built into the machine, or alternatively thread the needle by hand. If you're going to use the needle threader, make sure the thread goes through the last thread guide here. Put the thread underneath the hook on the needle threader and pull the needle threader down. The needle needs to be in the highest position for the needle threader to work. Pull it down, wrap the thread around and put the thread in between the two slots on the needle threader. Start to let go with your left hand and it pulls a small loop of thread through the back of the eye of the needle. That's the upper thread all threaded up, ready to sew. The machine's already set up for sewing now. The stitch selector is set on stitch 1, which is straight stitch, needle to the left. We'll just use the start stop button rather than using the foot control. You can control the speed here. You could set the machine for the needle to stop up or down. Reverse. And if you wanted to change your stitch, if we chose zigzag, which is stitch 4, if you wanted to adjust the width of the zigzag, at the moment it's 3.5 millimeters wide and 1.4 millimeters long. If you wanted to adjust that, perhaps make it wider, now it's set 5 millimeters wide and 2 millimeters long. Choose another stitch, say if we want to do a blanket stitch, which is stitch 11. The machine is already put in the factory default settings for the length and the width, so we know the proportions of that stitch are going to be correct as soon as you set it on the machine. Choose another stitch, maybe say 3-step zigzag, stitch 9. The length and the width are already set. And that's it. Nice and easy to use, fast. Everything's laid out very nicely on the machine. Everything feels good. So, nice machine. The thread tension we haven't had to alter, but if you did want to alter it, it's up at the top. Next thing is if we do a buttonhole. So, bring the needle up, cut the thread. There's a little button on the back of the ankle, press that and the foot will drop off, and then find your buttonhole foot. Find something we can use as a bobbin, use as a button. We use this 20p piece, which will act as our button, and that will set the length of the buttonhole. So it will make a buttonhole the right size for whatever you put in the back of that foot. So we just need to get the thread through the hole in the foot now. Okay. Choose buttonhole, so if we do a standard buttonhole, which is stitch 14. There's a lever at the back here, pull that down, which acts as the trigger for the machine to change direction once it's sewn the full length of the buttonhole. We'll turn the speed down a bit. Once the buttonhole is complete, the machine stops itself. And we can see there a nice buttonhole all done. If we want to do a keyhole buttonhole, the machine has 3 different types of buttonhole, or 4 if you include the stretch buttonhole. So we'll put it on keyhole buttonhole, which is stitch 16. We don't have to do anything with the width and length settings over here. We've already pulled down the buttonhole sensor, so we're ready to go. And the machine stopped itself once the buttonhole was complete. That's what we use to set the length of the buttonhole, which is fitting perfect, and the keyhole buttonhole again, perfect length for what we used to set the length. And that's it. That's the Brother NV10.